This is my favorite icing, and I use it as a demonstration to show how moisture and the mess are the two biggest things that you need to manage when you are cake decorating. And this icing is easy to make, it is easy to use, it tastes delicious, and it pleases adults and children. And I've been making it since 2000, and I love it mostly, not just for its flavor, but for its color. Many chocolate icings come out much too light and need to be doctored. This ends up a very rich, beautiful brown, and that is not in small part to the extra dark cocoa powder that I use. American style buttercream is comprised of 4 main ingredients: the fat, the liquid, the sweetener, and the flavoring. This cocoa icing is an American buttercream style icing. Unsalted room temperature is the fat. 10x is the sweetener. Whole milk is the liquid. Vanilla extract and cocoa powder are the flavorings. In this case, cocoa powder has 3 ingredient functions. It's a dryer, flavorant, and colorant. American buttercream remains very soft, but it does form a crust on the exterior, and that is due to the drying properties of 10x and cocoa powder. I wrap the cakes with plastic to keep them from drying out. I cover what frosting I am not using to keep it from drying out. So here's where it gets tricky with temperature and time. The cake needs to be wrapped tightly while it is chilled because it is easier to ice a firm cake. However, the cooler is the worst place for a cake that is not iced. A crumb coat is imperative. Once the cake is crumb coated, it can be on the counter for up to 7 days. There are no fresh ingredients that need to be refrigerated, so the least common denominator wins. The icing and the cake are shelf stable. I made Yule log, so I needed 2 browns to contrast and create a little bit of interest in the design. I used the icing as is, and then in the second half, I added terracotta and espresso food coloring to make it darker, and these have a lot of black and red in them. This deepens the color of chocolate. I apply all of my pastry skills to cake decorating. I clean in between every task before I move on to the next step. The way that I am working with my pastry bags keeps them impeccably clean. It says almost everything you need to know about how I work and how much I respect every aspect of my baking and pastry practice. I fill the bag to an appropriate, manageable amount, scrape and consolidate the pastry bag frequently. I use a clean, damp towel to keep both the tip and the countertop clean. Hand strain is a common problem for people who use pastry bags. You can mitigate the texture of the icing by thinning it out with more milk to make it softer and more manageable. And you can learn to hold a pastry bag correctly to reduce strain on your fingers and your wrist. Between your thumb and pointer finger is a natural place for the twisted portion of the bag to rest, so that very little pressure is necessary to squeeze the icing out of the pastry bag at the correct angle. I recommend the woodland theme for beginning cake decorators from adults to children. All you need are 2 color icings, any shaped cake, and 2 star tips. Because nature is irregular, that actually makes your final product look more natural, and you get what I call bang for your buck. In a professional setting, this is a moneymaker. Production time is fast. Training is very minimal. Imagine a bakery case filled with children's stump cakes, which have gummy bugs and worms, or a more expensive, sophisticated version with meringue, marzipan, and fondant decorations. American buttercream icing crusts up very quickly, so you must stick anything that you want to stick as soon as you are done piping. For Valentine's Day, a tree stump, carved with my lover's initials, a green kissing toad, and other fruits of the forest.